Precious YouTube channel. Today we'll be learning how to make a scrunchy ruffle detail on garments, okay, on dresses. So this is very beautiful and stylish, and it's very simple to make. You just need to pay attention to the tutorial. So now the measurements you need are just two measurements: the radius of where you want to place this design, and also the length of your flare. So the radius can be your off shoulder, it can be an asymmetric neckline, it can be a plunging neck, anywhere you just want to use this to beautify. You need to measure that space, round that space. So it is that measurement that you get, that you're going to divide by 6.28 to get your radius for your flare. Okay, so for me, the radius I'm working with is 4.5 inches, and the length of this flare depends on how full you want your ruffles to be. It can be 15 inches, can be 12 inches, can be 18, 20, 22 and thereabouts. Just work with the fullness that you intend to achieve at the end of your tutorial. So for this tutorial, I'm using this doll face fabric, and the length of my flare will be what my fabric is enough to carry. Okay, so I'm working with my length, with the length of my fabric, but I'm going to be using 4.5 inches for my radius. So to fold my flare, I'm just going to fold this into 4 like we normally fold a 360-degree flare. Okay, and then I'm going to check the measurement that I have to work with. Okay, so I've checked my length now, and I think I have just around 18.5 inches to work with, which is going to be small by the time I remove my radius of 4.5. So by the time I remove 4.5 from 18.5, I'm going to be left with around 13.5 inches for my length. So what I intend to do is just to reduce my radius, because this is for illustration purpose. So what this means is that this is not going to go around my mannequin, but it is still acceptable because this is just for illustration. So if you're working with your own, you need to get a fabric that is enough for you. Okay, so I'm going to measure the 19 inches that I have round, then I'll decide on the radius that I'll be using. So I'm measuring 19 inches round now. And I'll make this into a curve like that. Okay, so now my radius normally is supposed to be 4.5 inches, but if I use 4.5 inches, it means I'll have around 15 for my circumference, for my flare length. Sorry. So now I don't want it to be that small. I'm just going to be managing, let's say 3 inches for my radius. So it means this will not go around my mannequin. And like I said, this depends on what you're working with. So yours does not have to be 14.5 inches. You just need to measure the radius. You just need to take the measurement of where you're attaching this ruffle, and that is what is going to determine what your radius is going to be. So it doesn't have to be what I'm using here. So now that I have this, I'm just going to cut out this flare. Okay, and then after cutting out this flare, this is my radius and this is the length of my flare. I'm going to notch my fold point. What I mean by fold point is this place that is folded. Okay, and we have 4 fold points. This is 1, this is 2, and this is 1 and 2 folded together on this side. So I'm just going to pick it up and then notch them. I'm notching the 2 together. I'll go over to this side also and notch it on my radius. I'll do the same on the hemline. I'll pick it up and notch it. I'm notching 2 together, as you can see, and then go over to this side also, pick it up and notch. And then after that, because this may be passing through a zipper at the back, I need to open up one of my flare to allow the zipper to be able to open up. So I'm opening this up. Okay, so once this is open up and I open it, this is what I have. It's quite big. So after having this, the next thing I'm going to do is to start matching my notches together on the right side. Okay, so it has to be on the right side. So what I mean by right side is that by the time I bring them together, my right side needs to be showing, not the wrong side. So now the first notch is this. I'm going to look for that same notch on the hemline and then bring it together and hold with a pin. Then I'll move over to the next notch, which is this. I'll look for the next notch on my hemline also and then bring it together and hold with a pin. Okay, and then I'll go over to the next notch, which is this. I'll take the next notch on my hemline, bring it together also and then hold it with a pin. Okay, so now after holding my notches together, because the radius, remember we used around 3 inches for my radius and the length was around 19 inches, so the radius will definitely be smaller than the circumference of the actual flare length. So that is why we are having this excess after matching the notches together. So now for this excess, I'm just going to pleat it on this small space that I have from one notch to the other. I'm going to pleat this excess to fit into that small space like this. After pleating here, I'll move over to the next notch and then the excess that I have, I'll do the same. I'll also pleat it like this. I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain. Now we have this open space that we opened for our zipper. So now this open space, for me to close it, I just need to turn it like this, right side facing right side, and then I'm going to stitch it here. By the time I stitch it, I'll be able to turn it neatly to the right side, and by the time I turn it to the right side, I'll be able to pleat the excess that I have on this side also. The same thing I'm going to do the other side that is opened, right side facing right side. I'm going to flip it together like this and then I'm going to sew it. By the time I sew it, I'll turn it out and then the excess that I'm going to be having here, I'll also pleat it. So I'll take this to the sewing machine now to sew this. Okay, so I've folded the opened space together just like I explained and I've stitched it. So I just need to open it up now to the right side and you can see it is neatly finished. I did the same on the other side. I folded them and stitched it, and then I'm going to fold it over now. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to pleat this into a small space just to fit into all the spaces that I have from 1 2 3 4. Remember we made 4 notches, so this is the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. So I'll take this to the sewing machine now and then I'm going to place this to fit into this notch. Okay, so I've pleated all these. You can see this is from one notch to the other. This is the side with the excess. You can see pleatings around here, and this is our actual radius. You can see that it maintains its actual measurement. Okay, it's not too big, and this is the side that we brought our hem line to, which has the excess. That is why it is pleated round like this. So when you open it up, this is what you have. Now to create your scrunchie, you just need to pick it around here in between, and then you tack it with your needle and thread. I'm going to take this to the mannequin, sorry, so that we can see it better. Okay, you just create your ruffles like that, how you want it, and then you're going to tack it to hold it in place. So I'll take this to, you can see what we have now, that we have ruffles already. So I'll take it to the machine. But the secret of this is you have to be very careful of the type of fabric that you're using. I'm going to show us two types of fabrics and the outcome of each one of them. This is a bridal satin, and the other fabric that I use to do this is a silk fabric. So the kind of fabric that you're using also determines the amount of puffiness that you're going to be having at the end of the day. So when I get to the mannequin, I'm going to bring my other fabric so that we can see the difference of in the outcome that each fabric produces after making our pleats. So like I said in the tutorial, this will not go around because I did not use my full measurement. I just managed 3 inches, so I'll be holding it with a pin. But to fix it to your dress, wherever you want to make it, in this instance I want to attach it around the shoulder. So you must have had your bodies already with your shoulder, had it already with the shoulder. So you just need to sew it in a way that this rough edges is not going to show. It means it has to be sewn like this, so that it will just fall down and this will be tucked in already. So I'm going to be holding this with a pin now. I'll just hold this with a pin so that we can see the style we can form with this. Okay, so like I was saying, this is how it should be sewn, so that by the time it comes down like this, the rough edges will not be showing on the right side. Okay, so you can actually leave it like this. Remember, I was talking about fabric choice. You can see how bouncy this is looking already, even without bringing the scrunchy effect out. So if you wish, you can actually leave it like this, which I think is also beautiful. Or you can just leave it like this, or you can just create a scrunchie. So once you create your scrunchie, you tack it with needle and thread. But in this case, I'll be holding it with a pin. So you just fold this over around here to have some balls, just anyhow you want it to be. And I'm holding this with pins now. So you go over to the next one, just form like scrunchie effect, and then tack it somewhere. I'm holding this with pin. Okay. You can form it anyhow you want. So this is what I like, and this is what I'm doing. Okay, so go over to the next one and then tack it. I don't know, the pins are okay. So you can see the effect this brought out. So you just need to be creative with it and style it anyhow you want. You can see how beautiful and lovely this is and how full it looks. So assuming we use our normal measurement, it should have gone round the shoulder, and it should just bring a simple outfit to life. Okay, so like I was saying, this can be used anyhow you want it to be. It can be on your round shoulder, it can be across your, if you have a plunging neckline like all this illusion neckline, you can use it to decorate it or design it. Just give it whatever it is. That it can be on your waistline, anywhere you want it to be. So like I said, it can be running through like this, or you can make it in form of a V, or on your waistline, on your knee area, anywhere you want it to be. And you can see how beautiful and lovely, and the ruffles, how neat and nice they came out. So the main thing that I wanted to show us in the choice of fabric, you can see how big and full this is looking. When I use the same fabric, this is a silk fabric. When I use the silk fabric for this and I place it, you can see that immediately I paste this on it, it came out bouncy like this. But a silk fabric will just go down, it won't give you this bouncy effect. So even if you want to try to do your ruffles, it won't come out as bulky as a satin is coming out, because silk is kind of soft and it just goes down like that. You can see it's not as strong and firm as a satin. So if you're making this, you have to be very careful on your choice of fabric so that it can give you the desired effect that you want. So that is just what I thought to show us. See you in the next one. Bye.